Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Burning Cinema, the show where nostalgia has a second chance and we revisit the movies that shaped our past. If you've been with us before, you know how it all works. If not, then get ready to dive headfirst into a piece of cinema history. I'm your host, Ross, as always, and as always, joining me is my good friend and co-host, Tom. Are you well, Tom?
Always.
Awesome. Last episode, we delved into Troy, didn't we? Went all Greek, and not too bad. Didn't come out too bad, did it? It was all right.
Pretty well.
And obviously that was in connection with Chris Nolan's The Odyssey, which has it's been and gone. It's come out, by now. And so we sat there and thought, well, we've got 2 episodes to do before our little summer break, which we'll explain a little bit later. What are we going to do? So we picked 2 films, one of them being Troy, and so we've decided to pick another one with Steven Spielberg's A Disclosure Day having been out as well. So Spielberg is returning back to his old roots of all things conspiracy, aliens,
Sci-fi.
All that sort of stuff, all the good stuff that he does. And we thought, why not go back to his very early roots and do Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Indianapolis, Aries 31 has traffic 2 o'clock, slightly above.
Can you say aircraft type?
Negative, Center. No distinct outline. Tell you the truth, the target is rather brilliant. Wait a second. He's heading right for my windshield. The traffic is approaching head on. Ultra bright and really moving. And right by us, right now. That was really close.
31, do you wish to file a report of any kind of it?
I wouldn't know what kind of report to file, Center.
So yeah, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Spielberg's first outing, I want to say, into science fiction. I mean, he's done little bits, I'd imagine, and things, but realistically, this comes sort of round about the time with one of our previous podcasts with Jaws 2, wasn't it? And I seem to remember you telling me that that was the reason why Richard Dreyfuss didn't return.
It is indeed, and that was a whole bit we discussed. Richard Dreyfuss was simply too busy carrying on the production of this to go back to do Jaws 2.
And thank God he was so involved in it, because Richard Dreyfuss, our main star in this, isn't it, is going to be the protagonist of witnessing a close encounter, hasn't he? And
well, this is the thing. There's a scale, isn't there?
well, yeah,
And
we
this is
talked
important
about this, didn't we,
for
off air? Yeah.
And for those who are not familiar why it's got the name of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, there's a little thing called the Hynek scale, which was established in the 1970s by an astronomer called J. Allen Hynek, and it classifies your alien encounters depending on what actually happened. And the point of the third kind, this is what the film's all about, is this is a direct observation of an animated entity or alien being.
So that's where we are in this film. No sequels to this film. We didn't get Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind.
And no Close Encounters of the First Kind or Second Kind or even the Fifth Kind.
Or anything like that. So, love that. Classic Spielberg, mystery and misdirection as such.
Awesome.
Where already I'm asking questions about the title.
Yeah,
Probably one of the longest titles we've done in our
I
podcast.
think it probably is. It is also, what a year. We're talking 1977 for the sci-fi film. We're talking Star Wars A New Hope. We're talking Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Those are some big films there. And obviously, George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, very close, long-time friends, aren't they?
Yeah.
What a year they were having.
I mean, good Lord, yeah. So that was the same year. It came out the same year as Star Wars. Yeah. Oh, my God. Go what? Yeah, so you probably had 2 ends of the scale. And that sort of gets to me of where my history to this film is that when I was introduced, my father loved this film. He thought this was right up his street. He knew exactly what. I think he went to see it on his own. And nobody wanted to go with him, so he just went, "Sack it, I'm going on my own to go and watch it." He was that keen to want to watch it in the cinema. He loved the subject matter. He loved everything about it, and that was even before Spielberg was really out there as a kind of guaranteed. When you go and watch it, you know you're going to get something good. So he really loved that. So I got sort of introduced to that, and I seem to remember years ago when I was a kid, because I was very young when this came out, that my father even said to me, you might find it a little bit boring, because yes, in the world of VHS and video hire and watching things on television, because that's where I would have found this first, I was used to things like Return of the Jedi, which is action-packed, science fiction, full-on,
Non-stop.
creature movie / lore, all the stuff that you've got, amazing film. And that's what I grew up with as a child. And so to be brought back down to earth, quite literally, with Close Encounters of the Third Kind, I don't think I really accepted. I didn't really hold my interest because I was a little bit bored as probably a 6 to 7 year old kid. You know, it doesn't, and you can see why. Fast forward though, however, into my into my 20s almost, I decided to revisit it and go back to some of these films and go, do you know what? I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to watch it properly this time. Oh, absolutely loved it. You know, clearly for an older audience, and absolutely held you. And I think you see it with different eyes. Fast forward to now, we're going even further. As I approach my 50s, you know, we're now going into a second or a third deep dive, aren't we, almost? And we're now looking at it as like, and asking that question, is it any good? And I think on that note, shall we deep dive?
I think we should.
So we open up. I didn't remember how this opened up. Absolute silence, blank credits, just blank screen,
Nothing
credits.
to give anything away.
And in true Spielberg style, he keeps you waiting, doesn't he?
He does.
And then we're just given this kind of, well, I call it a bang, isn't it? Almost, it's like not a jump scare, but it's all of a sudden the screen's filled with light, and we're somewhere. And it's clear that we're in the desert.
We are. We're in the Mexican desert, and we've got an old Land Rover driving around.
Yeah.
An old little like flashback. Love those cars. And it's almost a bit of, it's like calm chaos.
You've got
There's people shouting. There's clearly a language barrier, but there's nothing. It's just the chaos with the people. There's nothing else going on that's chaotic. It's just the people not really understanding what's going on.
I mean, I think before you've even visited this film, you know it's about aliens, don't you? You know it's about visitors from space. You don't actually know the plot, really, if you've gone into this completely blind, so you don't know. But Spielberg is doing what he does best. Is just teasing it out of us slowly but surely. And he opens up with this scene, like you say, in the desert. It's blowing a hoolie out there, isn't it?
Probably is a standstill.
A bit like it was earlier on in this podcast. But... yeah, you're met up with these different people.
A couple of key characters here. We've got Claude Lacombe and also David Laughlin.
Yeah, so are they two? So we've got a French scientist dude, I will say, yeah. And he can speak very little English. So, but then we're given another character who he almost becomes like the explaining character, doesn't he? He becomes us because he's like learning how he's basically translating French into English and helping with the translation, but he also serves as a real important person of we have to explain what's going on the screen, and he's the one asking the questions. And let's not cut to the chase, is that we get something so cool, don't we, that's been left in the desert.
Awesome. And if you are into your alien stories, UFOlogy, that sort of thing, you'll know exactly what this is, and even if you don't, you'll recognise the significance of what comes next, because they find a number of old World War II fighter planes, but they're not old, are they?
No, they look brand new, as if they've just landed.
447 149, Jack!
Tell me something. What the hell is happening here?
It's flight number 19!
19 what?
It's that training mission from the Naval Air Station at Fort Lauderdale. They were doing target runs on an old Hulk.
Who flies crates like these anymore?
No one. These planes were reported missing in 1945.
But it looks brand new. Where's the pilot? I don't understand. Where's the crew? Hey! How the hell did it get here?
I still feel excitement watching it now. Here I am sitting in my living room and I'm just going, this is so good. This is such a good idea.
And they get their verification, don't they?
Yeah.
This is Flight 19. It is a 5-plane training flight that went missing on the 5th of December 1945. And that's a real true story. Genuinely, went missing,
Disappeared.
then and there. Nobody's ever been able to figure it out. Nobody knows where they are. They've never been found. So he's taken that and put them in the desert without the air crews. There's 14 men missing. What's going on? We get the little clip, don't we, of the old man. They find an old man who was there.
An old man, yeah.
And he's sunburnt, but only on like one half of his face. He's like one of those squashy sweets, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he just says, the sun came up at night and it sang to him.
I mean, already there's so much.
So many questions.
Yeah. And I'm going to use this
so
quote.
cool.
I'm going to use this quote all the way through because I will. I wish I could put it inverted. If you could see, I'm doing it in inverted commas. You know that I go, tell me more. I want to know more. Please tell me more. And what a great way to get you hooked in, line and sinker. Let's talk about. I mean, we'll go straight. We normally talk about theme tunes and stuff and bits and pieces. Let's talk about John Williams' score, because John Williams obviously returns back. He's the old mucker, and who turns up, doesn't he, with Spielberg?
Long-term collaborator.
They are a collaboration, a duo that never seems to go away. And John Williams' music in this is again simple, but
magical.
Oh,
It just fits, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Everything fits. It's
he knows
perfect.
the build up that violin, sections and stuff to get you enticed into the moment. Well, this is the first little, I would say, teaser, isn't it, as we go through the film, because we're going to get quite a few, aren't we? Well, throughout the film we're going to get a few teasers, which we'll come to, but we go straight into traffic control, don't we?
Yep, so we're up in the air traffic control room. It's just not stopping with the hooks into you, is it? This is another phenomenal scene, and it takes something that in its basic bones, you sit there and go, that's quite dull. It's an air traffic controller talking to some planes.
So
What's
I thought,
interesting about that?
I watched it, and my initial one was going to be, this is probably going to be quite dated. I do remember this from when I first watched it and the second time I watched it and whenever. But watching it now, I sat there and thought, oh, do you know what? I watched it with different eyes. Listening to the acting. Now, I don't know if they were real air traffic controls, but the language is phenomenal, isn't it? It's like, I believe that these three people sitting here were air traffic controllers.
Yeah.
Because the lingo that they're using and chatting, and then it's that lovely bit of moment where we started off with two guys, then another guy, and then people start to move across the room, didn't they? And they're all slowly huddling round. And you go, this is great because it's we're that crowd, aren't we? We're now all huddling around the screen, aren't we? Because again, I want to know more.
And you're just there like, what's going on? What is it they seen? But we never see it because we don't go to the planes at all. We just hear their voices and then silence. Then they're like, well, it's gone. And they're like, do you want to make a report of a UFO, which is unidentified flying object? And there's like, nah.
Yeah, it's fine. No, don't worry about it. Yeah.
Again, the hooks are really being pushed into you, and you're being pulled along for this journey because you're gripped there. Like, I want to know what's going on. I want to see what they're seeing. Something strange is happening here.
So yeah, classic. So we're getting lots of little intros. We're building up to this, to the point of where we're going to go. Where pretty much I would say where most of our film takes place, which is in Indiana, which is where we're going to find pretty much most of our main characters as such. And we're introduced to a young boy, aren't we? And what's his name? I can't remember what his name.
Barry.
Was it Barry? I kept hearing it. One minute I thought it was Gary, then it was Darry, or I don't know if there is. I don't even know if there's a name called that. And I was writing it down. I think I can't hear. I'm getting old. My hearing, Anyway, young lad, and it's quite creepy, isn't it? Because all his toys are coming on, aren't they? And I mean, he owns a lot of electronic toys, doesn't he? That boy.
He does. He's doing all right. His mum's treated him
Yeah.
really well. I put down in my notes for this is like a toned down horror vibe.
Definitely that creepy monkey, for God's sake, with the symbols, isn't it?
Don't like that.
Just starts tapping away, and you go, "Oh, I'd be." How that kid's just so cool about it all, isn't he?
Kid's having a great time.
Even an adult, I would have smashed that monkey to bits. I've got a baseball bat, and well, all the toys are going in the garbage. That's it. I'm out of here.
Those are all faulty.
Yeah, but he's quite cool about it, which asks the question, maybe there's something else going on here, that why the kid is quite relaxed about it all. It's just like, is there some sort of communication going on? And we kind of know that it's the aliens, isn't it?
We do, but he goes downstairs, doesn't he? And the fridge has been raided.
Someone's
A nice little bit of, Coca-Cola product placement as well. But the fridge has been raided, and then there's like a weird noise, like an unearthly noise, and the kid's like looking at something and smiling, but we never see what he's looking at. And it's just freaky and weird in like an intriguing way, isn't it? 'Cause we still don't know what's going on.
But while we stay in Indiana, we sort of focused on this town, aren't we? Well, I mean, our main character, don't we? Who played by Richard Dreyfuss, isn't it? Which is Roy, isn't it?
It is Roy, and he's just your average, what they say in America, blue collar, isn't it? Worker.
Yeah.
Some sort of electrician, I think, isn't he?
But Spielberg portrays this great image as he shows the house, and I found myself in this whilst I was watching it. I found my eyes scanning around in the background, like looking around the house for some reason. I don't know whether I felt slightly confused, because I sort of looked at the house and I went, it's like slightly unfinished. There's this sort of, where are they? I don't actually know. They're in a living room, but there's no plaster on the walls. You can see the breeze block.
It's pretty chaotic in there, isn't it?
And I was thinking, but Spielberg has done this before. He's done, in E.T., the children lived on an estate where it hadn't been finished. So they were like one of only like 20 houses living in this house, a lovely house. But when they went on their bikes, in E.T., and they went around, you realise the rest of it was a building site.
Yeah.
It's like, we started, but we haven't quite progressed. If you go to Poltergeist as well, literally the plot device is that in Poltergeist, in Spielberg's. They're on a place as well where they're in a part of a land development. There's certainly always that theme going on. So I was looking forward later on in the film to sort of kind of almost tick the box on that and answer. I don't think it ever really answered my question on it too much, because everyone else's house looked kind of finished.
Yeah.
I mean, did he take over the house and then go, do you want any plasterboard? And he goes, how much is that going to cost? Well, extra. Well, no. And he living in a cold house with no carpet and no plaster on the walls. Very odd. Yeah, but I really picked up on it. And they're all in this one, it's almost like a rompers room sort of thing where he's got his train track, hasn't he? But at the same time, that's where the TV is. But the rest of the house looked kind of normal. But then everybody's sleeping in very crammed in, aren't they? The dynamics of that house, very odd.
It's a very chaotic house. And it's all going on because they're having some sort of like discussion about Roy leaving his stuff where his wife wants to have her space, and one of the kids is smashing up a doll in the background.
God, that's intense, isn't it?
While he's trying to help the other one with his fractions. And I do really love when, like, he's all calm, is Roy, just calm speaking, and then he just has an outburst and tells the one smashing up the doll that he's so close to death.
Yeah. He said, Toby, you're close to death.
It was so, but that was also, it was like such probably like a parent thing, really, isn't it? Just like calm, snap.
Yeah, because you do, and I remember this. My children would be doing something, and you would be either trying to talk on the phone, and then you would go from this absolute calm, parent, and then you would just literally go bang, like Inferno, and then go back to normal, because it would be like they certainly would test you. I think my kids listening to this think we know what you mean, Dad.
Sorry.
But what absolute classic Dreyfuss though in his acting. You watch his other films, really good at that. He does stress the man very well. I think he does. Yeah, he does. Man who's like sort of being pushed beyond his limits. But yeah, so what we've got is we've got Richard Dreyfuss in this kind of very domestic setting with his wife Ronnie, isn't it? Yeah, just absolute chaos. I think one thing Spielberg loves to do, he loves to do a dysfunctional family, doesn't he?
Yep.
And I'll be honest with you, this problem with the first families that all parents are all there. Because normally we do single parent, don't we?
Normally someone's dead.
Someone's dead, or sometimes, like in the matter of E.T., which we'll relate to, don't even know where he is. It's never mentioned. Very odd there. But we're going to slowly watch Richard Dreyfuss decline as we come later, what happens to him, into a little bit of madness, isn't he? Which the house and the chaos of the house is going to get even more chaotic, isn't it?
Yes, because he gets what just seems like a normal phone call to go and do some work. There's like a power outage going on, and he's tasked to go and do something with it. And so he takes his truck out to go and try and find where he's got to go.
He's having a bit of trouble finding stuff, and even that guy who drives past him and he goes, "You're in the middle of the road, you jackass." I was thinking, how rude.
He's just stopped there.
There's
with
no
the
one
map out.
around.
I absolutely love it when Richard Dreyfuss, he sort of he stops the truck, doesn't he, in the middle of nowhere, and just goes, "Help! I'm lost."
I know. I've been in that moment. I've had a moment like that. Yeah, I'm lost. But we're going to get a very contained scene, really, because he's going to enter the crossroads, isn't he, of the train tracks. I mean, yeah.
Well, what looks like another car pulls up behind him,
Yeah.
and then he sort of waves them on through, and well, they don't exactly overtake him, do they? As much as they levitate.
Again, we're getting little snippets, aren't we, of little
Something's
teasers and
going
things going on, and I find this all very quaint, all very nice, and it's all quite friendly. I don't find it creepy. I find it mysterious. The sign that's shaking, isn't it? Because we get a power outage. We get sort of stuff flying out of the glove box, isn't there?
Bright light.
There's shit. I mean, how much shit has he got in that truck, isn't it? It's just like the ash. The ashtray hasn't even got any ash in, has it? It's got like sweets and coins and
All sorts
the
of
glove box comes open and kind of, oh my god, there's like everything.
But interestingly, he looks outside, doesn't he, at the light, and he gets burnt, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But only on the side of his face that's exposed to the light. Yeah, it's all very weird goes on. Then it just stops.
And then we get, so we got like really noisy, a good use of sound, and the sign shaking is almost bordering on annoying, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's getting to the point where you go, I've had enough. And then the moment that stops, silence.
It is dead silence, isn't it?
And we're back in the room again, aren't we?
And he's absolutely terrified.
And I forgot a little bit that you get where, I mean, he gets frightened because everything all comes back on, doesn't it? The car engine
He's
comes on. He
making him jump.
frightens the life out of himself, doesn't he, with the torch? And then he looks ahead and you see this beam of light, don't you? Just comes on again.
Yeah.
And I forgot about that bit. And I sat there and went, now he's absolutely, we've got Richard Dreyfuss's character, Roy. He's absolutely sold. He's in it. He wants to know more. He's like us.
He's absolutely fascinated at this point, isn't he? And he's just like, I need to go and follow it. So he does. He sets off in pursuit. And did you notice the scene where he's driving and you get a bit like of a helicopter shot of the truck driving down the road and you see the shadow of something move across the fields?
I never saw that years ago. Whether I was watching it in a summer's day and couldn't quite see on my
With the
poxy
sun.
little television, right? But now with a lovely big TV in my room and like HD quality and all that sort of stuff, I watched it and I went, I forgot about that bit. It just creeps over there really quickly, doesn't it? It's like blink, you miss it.
Yeah,
sort
because
of.
then he's also got the radio going off as well from his colleagues at work, and they're also saying they've been seeing things as well.
And he ends up in Idaho or something like that, doesn't he, or wherever, and on a hilltop. And that's when we see the spaceships, don't we?
Yeah, so there's a bit of a... He nearly runs over Barry, who's still running, and his mum's there, and some random other people are there.
Some
sort of
right
waiting.
old locals, may I add. Yeah, some yokel locals, isn't there? Who we're going to see a little bit later on as well.
Yeah, he comes back. Sure enough, was it 3 spaceships come by, and then that little red dot thing, all being pursued by the police, which is great. And it's just like, it's 1977. It's getting on for being, quite old now.
Yeah.
In film terms.
Well, it is, yeah.
This is phenomenal. Like, it looks phenomenal.
It looks good, doesn't it?
It does look good. Like, if that came out today, I'd still sit there and go, oh yeah, this is good. I like this.
It's subtle enough. We know it's not real. We know they're there, but then special effects are. You just sort of go. It just works so well as they go down the road. They're optical effects, which what they would have had in the 70s, and they've superimposed them over onto. Someone did say, I mean, back in the day, they did say that this was quite top range. This was ILM's, like real. They'd really gone out on this to create the spaceship and do it, because I think like Spielberg would have said, like in a lot of films, if we're doing it, then we're doing it. And
It's
that
gotta
was
be
the
done
best.
properly.
The only thing they were probably hindered at is probably the computers that they were using, the optical, and the time and the restraints and everything to it. But like you said, it still looks good, doesn't it? I think it does. It works really well. And Dreyfuss is, this is the beginning of his sort of spiral, isn't it? Out into what is looked on as everybody else as a bit of insanity, isn't it?
Yeah, because he gets back home and he's sort of very hyper about what he's seen, and he drags the family out to go back and try and see it, but they don't. Cause there's
My
nothing
missus has
there.
been livid. if I'd got her out of bed.
Interestingly, this scene's actually inspired by an element of Steven Spielberg's own youth.
Really?
Where, without warning, his parents took him and the other children into their car and drove to watch a meteor shower.
Wow.
Which is quite nice. That's a very homely look. Like, that is a genuine bit of his family memories.
Yeah, I like that idea. That there's a little homage to that. Yeah, and I think you see there they have a little moment, don't they, together as characters. And I think she even says, doesn't she? Said, "Do you remember when we used to come up here alone, together?" So she's sort of harping back, remembering memories from when they were younger, before they had kids. But then I love the idea that he embraces her because he loves her. But then his eyes look back up to the sky, doesn't he?
Yeah.
We now get the sense that this has done something to him, and I think you would be like that, wouldn't you? You've seen something. You've had a close encounter of the third kind. Everything is on the back burner now. I want to know what's going on, and I think that conveys that with the audience watching as well, which is really, really great.
But now we're going to take it away from.
Oh yeah,
and we're going to go on a bit more of a world trip to Mongolia, to the Gobi Desert,
for another teaser,
because something else has happened
Mm.
in the middle of the desert, and there's just a ship, the Cotopaxi, which again is another ship that went missing in the Bermuda Triangle. So
Yeah.
it's taken something else that's really happened and just added it into this film to sort of explain where it's gone. And everyone's there just like, well, how has that got there?
which ties in roughly, doesn't it, to Dreyfus? You see him cutting out some magazines, don't you, and stuff, and he's sort of slowly collecting, and we get the sense that there's lots of stuff going on in there around the world. There seems to be visitations all over the place, doesn't there? So yeah, we get the first introduction as well. I mean, we keep racking in these teasers, don't we? Like the Cotopaxi and Flight 19. We get the first, which is going to be very prominent in our film, of our 5-chord musical tune, aren't we? That
Yes, we do.
The classic Close Encounters sound. We are given that by the French scientist, aren't we, who is presenting this in some sort of hall, isn't he, to a bunch of very special people. And he's come up with his own sort of... He's managed to decipher it, hasn't he? Because they went to, am I right in thinking, India or somewhere? And there's a great little moment where... obviously in the native language they say where did this sound come from, and then all of a sudden you get this Namrus pointing in the direction. Tom is pointing up to demonstrate what pointing in the sky looks like, in case we forgot. Yeah, in case we didn't know. I think that's great, because I think we're in this sort of very sort of third world area of the country. And why would they lie? Why would they say that it hasn't happened? And I think it gives the emphasis of the... Yeah, but look how many people are all saying it. This isn't just 4 people saying, I heard something. Not like what we had before. So what we had before, we had an old guy saying that the sun had come out, hadn't we? Then what we had next, we had some Mongolian locals in it who had found a boat. Yeah. But now we've got, I think, what transitions really well is we've now got, there's hundreds, weren't there? Hundreds of...
it's building up each time.
Of the community all pointing up and going, no, this is where this sound comes from, and we've all had a close encounter. How can 150 to 2,000 people be wrong? And so I think that then starts holding weight, doesn't it? That there's no conspiracy. We haven't got any government stuff going on. Because I always think in these films we have those double-edged sword stuff where we sit there and go, but is it going to be revealed later on that it's the government? Doing stuff, and is that? So I think we're almost rubber stamping now and saying, no, this is definitely aliens, and this is definitely all beings from another world coming to visit us. I think the jury's out a little bit on our French character and doing, where I think I found when I was younger, that was slightly annoying that we had a translator with him all the time. But how now, going back and looking at it now, I can actually see the reason why, because it's all to do with communication. It's all to do with not understanding. Yeah. I think it's quite brave to do that in a film and say, well, no, we're going to have him speak French all the way through, and we're going to have someone translate it. But I think it conveys the idea of a message, and that we don't actually know what anyone's saying, isn't it? We have our own. It's almost like we have our own problems on Earth. And
it also represents the fact that this 5-tone piece they translate from the aliens is like universal. It's like, I can speak French, you speak English, but together we know that this is something else. It just It's
sort
the
of
harmony,
unifies,
isn't
doesn't it?
brings all
Yeah.
together.
So I thought that was quite interesting. I thought as a later deep dive into this, as an older person watching it and probably analysing it a lot more carefully, I certainly understood it better and understood the reasons behind it. But one of the most interesting things that comes out of this, and when we start talking about communication, is how these odd beings from outer space are communicating with our people down on Earth, isn't it? Those that have had a close encounter. So everybody who's had a close encounter have all got something in common, haven't they? They start drawing, don't they? So in relative terms, for the boy's mum, she's a bit of an artist. I think you can see in her house she's been doing a bit of sketching. So she immediately goes to the charcoal, doesn't she, and the crayons, and then starts drawing what will be later known as the Devil's Tower, isn't it? A monument of rock.
Yeah, but it's like she's drawing it. Her kid's making like a mound of it. Roy's always seeing it and trying to make it, and
yeah, he has a
there's all
moment at
sorts
the
of stuff going
table, doesn't he, where he's making out of an
Mashed potato.
incredible amount of mash for a one sitting, may I add. That is incredible. This bowl is like a mixing bowl full of mash. I mean, about 18 potatoes in there, I imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was going for
they
it.
like their mash.
They do.
Yeah, and he's doing something very odd. And from Ronnie's point of view, his other half, obviously, she thinks he's slowly going a little bit.
Insane.
Yeah, which you probably would think that,
Yeah.
because she hasn't seen any of it.
Did you notice though in the background of all of that though, when they're serving up the mash, the little daughter just goes, "There's a fly in my potatoes," and then apparently that was unscripted.
But
What's it
Spielberg
supposed
is
to be
renowned
about?
for doing that, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think some of the kids in that household, there's a moment where she's clearing up and tidying up. Roy ends up getting fired, doesn't he? And there's a bit of turmoil, there's a bit of kickback from the kids. But there's a moment where the middle child, he's just banging away on the piano, sort of thing. And, randomly, and it's almost like Spielberg probably said, just do what you want. Do what you want while this is going on. Because it does actually convey what real life is like. And it brings that realism.
It's just these little details of real life that are presented on screen. Doesn't take away. You're not distracted by it. You're just aware it's happening and going, Chaos House makes sense.
And I felt that I was in the house with them, and I felt like I wanted to tell that kid to be quiet, because I'm trying to listen. But that's what the characters are
Slam
trying to
down
do.
the cover on the
They're trying to
keys.
have this conversation, but they can't. And bleeding piano going off like
Yeah.
no tomorrow, isn't there, in the background?
And then amongst all of this, obviously, Barry and his poor mum, Gillian,
Oh, yeah,
are
they
not
have a
being
harrowing-
left alone
Yeah.
because the aliens go back.
So we have our first abduction, don't we? Basically, in the film, we start to look at, and I think even by that point, it certainly is creepy, Anna. So we think, what are their intentions? And certainly when you realise that our teasers that have come along with the Cotopaxi and Flight 19, no one has been returned. So it probably sheds enough thing of like, well, they sound like they're fairly friendly, but
people
are
are missing.
they? They don't give anyone back, do they? And I think that was really important, that when we have that whole moment and she's running around the house, and I do think though it's not as scary as I kind of remember it, if you get what I mean. I didn't when I watched it, I always found it quite creepy.
But it was scary for the actress because apparently they did it without rehearsal, so she didn't know necessarily all of this was going to start happening.
Things happening.
And so she was genuinely scared.
I mean, she jumps out of her skin when the oven is on like red hot, isn't it? And it's like literally nearly jumping out of his housing, isn't he? And then the dishwasher's fine. I'd imagine that's all very practical effects, and they maybe did it, in front of her, and she probably didn't know that was going to happen in the kitchen.
Yeah, but again, I think you feel the fear that she has when these things are coming, like the clouds, the spooky clouds, and things are coming. So
Spooky clouds.
She's trying to batten down the house, close all the windows. Then the kid is like opening doors. Stop opening the doors!
Not doing as he's told, is he? He's like, yeah.
And then the lights are there, and they manage to open blinds and that sort of thing. It's just generally freaky. And then the kid decides to crawl out the cat flap or the
It's like a
dog
cat flap or dog flap
Even
in the
though there's no
door,
sign
isn't
of
it?
a
Yeah.
dog. And then she grabs hold of him, but is unable to keep hold. The aliens drag him away. And then you're a bit
Yeah.
like, what the hell?
Yeah,
Like,
gone.
this little kid has just been taken.
Because at the same time, they're getting a radio message, aren't they, from outer space? And cut long story short, they realise it's coordinates, isn't it?
It is coordinates.
That's going there
To the Devil's Tower.
to Devil's Tower, and that's where it's going to be in Wyoming. So, which is a real place, isn't it?
What,
So-
Wyoming?
No. It's real, yeah. Wyoming is very real, but the Devil's Tower is
a real
very
place.
real.
Yeah.
A very popular destination, apparently, it is in that part of America, and it had millions of tourists a year. And there's a whole you have to pay to get in. Yeah, it's
There
a
we go.
sacred mound. It is that's sort of worshipped by many native tribes. It is of America. So
we
it's
go.
one of the first ever protected monuments by Teddy Roosevelt. There you go.
Well, he was quite well known for that.
He's
though,
very
wasn't
into when he keeping
Conservation
stuff and saying this
of
stuff
natural
needs to be
elements.
looked after and we don't need to decimate it and do horrible things to it or put a McDonald's on top of it or I don't think McDonald's were around in 1906, but imagine a big old golden M on top of it. Hey, you got to get up there, climb up there. It's a long way
Here's
for
our
a big mac
ladder.
and cheese. Anyway, and we're glad they didn't do that anyway, and it's been kept nice as well. Anytime that tourist destination gets mentioned, any Wikipedia page or any information, it's always mentioned that this is the place where Close Encounters. I'd imagine it's a bit of a pilgrimage for people, Spielberg fans.
I mean, I want to go there now.
I'd love to go there. It's just
That'd be really cool,
middle
wouldn't
of bloody nowhere, isn't it? It's like really out of your way. You'd have to go to Wyoming, wouldn't you? To actually, I don't know what else is in Wyoming. It's a lot of history, I suppose. But yeah, so that's pretty much where we're going, isn't it? Or where we're going to be heading to. And it seems that all our people who have had a close encounter matches up with their pictures, doesn't it? Matches up with what they've been building and stuff.
Well, we see this, don't we? Because Roy is having even more of a breakdown.
He's gone supernova, hasn't he?
Gone mad now to the point where he's throwing dirt and houseplants into the building where they live. He's stealing people's chicken wire, and he essentially drives his wife away, doesn't he? She's just so freaked
She's
out by
scared,
it,
yeah.
She leaves with the kids, and he uses all that dirt and stuff to construct a massive scale model of the Devil's Tower.
I mean, it's pretty cool.
It
looks really good.
I'm not sure I'd want it in my front room though.
That's huge, wasn't it? That took up the whole lounge, didn't it? Good job we didn't have any plaster on that walls. That would have been everywhere, wouldn't it? Chaos. He wrecked the room, hasn't he, now? Imagine buying his house. Oh, my God, what's this? A full-scale replica of the Devil's Tower.
Very nice, but where do I sit?
Complete with visitors centre at the bottom and people.
And McDonald's at the top.
And this is our thing, that they all kind of know where they need to go, and it transpires that they're eventually, basically, we're going to get lots of people go to the Devil's Tower. However, our government officials, they don't want everybody interfering, do they? So they've come up with this kind of very elaborate plan, haven't they, of coming up with
train, wasn't it, is derailed, and they need to evacuate the area immediately.
high toxic gas is
'Cause
being...
there is a scene where they're trying to figure out, and I actually really liked this. There was a little scene where they delved into them trying to figure out what they were going to do.
They do like a little brainstorming, don't they?
Yeah.
They have a little notepad and they sort of go, diphtheria is one of them that's been sort of, questioned, then they cross out. And I think our military official, doesn't he? He says, I need something that will clear everybody,
300
that
square miles,
even the most questionable person would not come here. And so they come up with this idea as such. But yeah, I found this part of the film, though, I think, as we were sort of cruising along, I felt that we just got onto a railway track and we were just going in the right direction. I didn't feel that we were steering off to the left or the right anywhere. Yeah. There wasn't a great deal of moments that I felt that, yes, there's them great moment where Dreyfus goes with the mother of the boy, and they decide to go through all the blockades, don't they? And
yep.
to go and even they are doubting that maybe this might actually be toxic gas in the air. So
yeah, because as they're driving along, there's a lot of what appear to be dead animals at the side of the road, isn't there? Your horses, your cows, your sheep, and they're a bit like, what's going on? They've got gas masks. And the birds that they have with them sort of appear to die as well because they all sort of collapse. There's something clearly not right going on. Also, we learn that it's all a ploy. They're not dead. They've been put, in a temporary sleep.
So caution to the wise, but they still persist, obviously, and then they get caught,
going.
don't they? And we get a whole, and then I think we start revealing that our French scientist and his interpreter are on a slightly different side than maybe some of the government officials. But I don't feel that we don't go down the typical trope of the government is bad and they want to steal it, or they do actually want to make first contact. They do want to do all this. But I find that our scientist against the military guy is like, well, these people are coming here for a reason. Let them come here, because for science sake, they clearly all been told something. So
something's going on. This is a key bit of evidence.
Why would all these people travel all the way across America?
Why are they all drawing the same picture?
Exactly. So he's sort of on there. And you get that from when we get Richard Dreyfuss decides to make a run for it, doesn't he? Along with her. And, may I add, a random man, don't we?
Oh, yeah, random man, Larry. Someone else who decided to leave.
Wearing a rather large knit, isn't he? I mean, the biggest sweater I've ever seen on in that. That's going to weigh him down. They decide to go for a run, and they're going to try and get to Devil's Tower, aren't they? They're going to try and get to wherever they need to get to. They don't believe, and luckily enough, the gas obviously is that hasn't smoked them out. They're not falling ill, and we get a bit of a chase scene on the hillside, don't we? As they get there,
yeah, because the military are trying to keep the whole thing secret, and they can't have 3 citizens just running around, giving the whole game away. And
it's all very top secret stuff that's going on. Yeah, I kind of like it. I think it's quite good. It reminded me so much of a classic 70s chase. It was. It really reminded me of that kind of. There's been quite a few films. There's a film called Capricorn 1. They do the same kind of thing. There's a helicopter chasing them, and they're on the desert, and there's lots of creeping around, hiding under a rock, and then the helicopter goes over. I think in the 70s, this was the go-to of, like, if you want to do a little, suspensive kind of chase scene. This was it. This was quite an easy one to do, because you probably film everybody on the rocks doing that, and then film a helicopter going around, and it was probably quite easy to get hold of. So yeah, it was the most 70s sort of chase I've ever seen in my life. However, though, our new man with the big sweater, isn't he? He doesn't quite make it, does he? He's lagging behind.
No, he's caught by the sleepy gas.
I always thought he died. I did. I thought someone had shot him. I don't know why. That was like a complete...
What version of this film did you watch?
No, I don't. I mean, we'll get on later on when we talk about different versions. But I had a weird thing. Did you ever have that? They call it the Mandela effect, don't they? Where you believe that something has happened and it never happened. I believed that he'd been shot by the enemy. Not by the enemy, by the US government. And I watched it thinking, well, I think it's a bit rough, them shooting him. But then I think it's because when he falls down, he lies and his eyes are open. He doesn't sort of just drift into a sleepy state. He sort of lays on the floor, and then he looks like he's dying, and I think that's what gave me the impression that, they've killed him, cool. Which in this film, there's been none of that.
Spielberg.
No, we've had none of that. Regardless of what the government thinks, they want to try and keep it a secret. Nobody is trying to kill innocent citizens, through. They're just getting rid of them, aren't they, and getting them out of the way.
Yeah.
But we come to what is going to be our final big rendezvous with the aliens, and we've built this big old sound studio, isn't it? That's at the back of Devil's Tower, isn't it? And sort of landing pad and a welcoming kind of thing going on. We've got a man on a keyboard in it, ready to do the tones. Yeah,
I've got something interesting to say about him. So that man is called Philip Dodds, and he was an engineer sent by a company to set up the synthesizer for the film, and Steven Spielberg saw him set up and just cast him in the role.
So we saw him play. So is he playing the actual notes?
He's playing the notes. He's actually just an engineer, but he was playing it. Steven Spielberg was like, he's having the part.
I love
cast him in the film. He's never done anything else.
I love when they do that. We've talked about that before, haven't we?
Yeah. And it was simple. Yeah. And you know, I watched it and I didn't know that, and I thought he's given a really good performance. And yeah, he wasn't even an actor. He was an engineer for the company of the synthesizer.
Wow.
How cool is that? Iconic.
I mean, how cool would that be? Yeah, I've got a job, turned up on this film set. Oh, I'm in it.
Yeah, I'm now in
He's quite predominantly in it as well. He's not a blink you miss it.
He's got a fair bit of screen time.
He's got actually quite a big role at the end.
And he has a line.
I think he does, doesn't he? Yeah.
At one point.
Yeah, I mean, wow. Amazing. But yeah, we've got a lot of shirt and ties going on there, haven't we? We've got things.
Everyone's got sunglasses. Everyone's got aviators.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably quite bright, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. I love it.
Yeah, and we are building up to the mothership is going to turn up at some point, isn't it? After we've played the chords to death, isn't it?
And the little ships have been there. And
yeah, we've had a bit of fun. I did feel there's a bit of ropey CGI, not CGI, a bit of special effects that, sort of one bit where they're over their head, and the perspective of it was a bit jarring. I was like, oh god, that hasn't aged well. You know, that looks a bit compared to the rest of it. I found very odd.
It might have been a more complex choice.
Yeah, I just picked up on that. Yeah, I know. I'm picking probably holes in it where there doesn't need to be holes, but we're eventually going to get the mothership that's going to turn up, and we're going to have this communication process going on, aren't we? And
well, did you notice amongst all this that the random employee who ran and hid in a portaloo?
Yeah, there's some. Well, I kind of like that. I thought that was good because it's like, Jesus, this is damn scary.
I mean, yeah, you try and set yourself up for it, but then you really see
especially when the door starts opening and old spindly alien starts coming out, doesn't he?
Yep. Not having any of this. Goodbye.
Yeah, he comes out, doesn't he? And he's like, "Hello, you all right?"
My name's Jeff.
My name's Jeff. Jeff the alien is out. You all right? What? God, I wanted him so much to go. God, trouble-eyed coming here. God, non-stop. Roads packed.
How much is parking round here?
Yeah, I'm glad you built this studio. I had nowhere to go. I've been trying to get parked for the last 48 hours. Chaos out there, mate. Parking. Close Encounters of the Parking Kind. Awesome. So Jeff the alien's turned up, hasn't he? And he's here. And he's sort of going to go, hi, how you doing? I'm here, but I'm not going to say anything.
But then all these other little aliens start coming out as well, don't they?
We get lots of little, well, they're obviously either children or smaller statue
I
people.
I think they were, if I remember reading it correctly, I think they were girls from some sort of ballet school, just put in like a little cheap alien costume.
Yeah, they're all little rubber suits, and they do sort of darting around as such. And we get there's all our officials, there's all our main characters. There's everybody who's included in this so-called, like, sort of maybe project, I would say, that's kept very quiet.
Yeah.
And they're having what is a first contact, isn't it, between another species and another species. They're clearly quite prepped for this, as we're going to get some. We did see a little bit earlier on some guys in some red boiler suits, didn't we? Who are kind of, when we reveal later on, they're going to be these chosen ones to go onto the ship. But before that, we get, when the doors open, we wondered what happened to these humans, and here they are. They've been delivered back. But we're left with Dreyfus, aren't we? And obviously our French scientist. Somehow there's a conversation that he's going to go, that Dreyfus is now going to go on the spaceship, isn't he? He's now going to go, he's going to join the guys in the red overalls and be these volunteers to go where no man has gone before.
But we only see him get on the ship. Like, the others don't, we don't see them ever get on it, do we?
Yeah.
Because they seem to choose Dreyfus, and so were they just, this is the select ones you can pick from?
And I don't understand the question. There's a little bit of confusion, and I think now, it would have to be explained, where back in the day, in the 70s, in science fiction films, we just did what we like. We didn't, people just went, oh, that's just how it is. They're asking him random questions, aren't they, as they're moving him through the crowd to go and put some overalls on.
What's your blood type?
What's your blood type? Have you ever had this? Have you ever had that and that? Have you been inoculated for these diseases, and stuff? Have you ever been inoculated for smallpox or something like that, or whatever? I went, right. I mean, I've got to be honest with you. They've come down in a giant spaceship. I'd imagine their tech is far beyond ours. Come on, let's be honest.
Presumably they're going to be coming back at some point to let you know what they found. Otherwise, they're just weirdly immigrating to space.
All men as well.
I don't think they were.
No?
No.
Because this was one of my little things, a little bit like, I mean, the last film we done Troy, and we didn't mention that, unfortunately, women get a little bit of a sidestep here, compared to a very male-dominated, everyone in the army, for example, was like male. And watching this film, I think you really pick up on it, and certainly how films are nowadays, that you sit there and you go, what? Not one of these scientists is a woman?
I think,
it's quite amazing, isn't it, by today's standards?
That was quite shocking. But I think the ones in the red, I think there was at least one female in the red suit, I think.
But we do get, there is strong female leads in this film. Spielberg is always renowned for giving people that and giving their time. He's always shared it out fairly. Certainly, when you think of its time, isn't it? Very male dominated kind of films, yeah. But still, doesn't take away from the fun and joy that Dreyfuss gets on the ship, doesn't he? And he
does. But then this is where people might remember different things about this film,
yeah.
because there's a few different versions of this film.
Well, there certainly is, Tom, because I noticed until we had a brief before we started this podcast that we'd realised that me and Tom had actually watched two different versions of this film. So whilst Tom had enjoyed the special edition of Close Encounters, I'd enjoyed the director's cut, which was released a little bit later.
And there's also the theatrical version.
And then there's the original one. So the theatrical one is the one that everybody would have seen in cinema. We then did a little bit more of a deep dive within that, and we found out that there was slight differences, wasn't there? And one of the biggest differences along there was that Richard Dreyfuss, as he enters a spaceship in the special edition, am I right in thinking that the spaceship was like you could see inside it?
I don't think it was. It wasn't in the one I watched.
Ah, right.
So
okay.
It might have been in the theatrical one. I'm not too sure.
Maybe.
We're a little bit confused over this.
But I think that's the problem. I don't think we're going to go into it too deep because it doesn't really matter.
There's different versions.
The changes are very small, aren't they? They're not really massive.
Nothing that's going to change it major time. There was one version where you do see inside the mothership, and Spielberg didn't like that.
That's one of the biggest changes that happened. But then he reversed it in a director's cut. That's as far as I know.
Yeah. But then I think if I remember correctly reading something, I think it was Spielberg wasn't too happy with the ending of the film in general, that he didn't like Roy actually going off with the aliens and essentially abandoning his family without telling them where he's going. It's
a strange one, isn't it? Yeah. Whether it leaves a little sour taste in your mouth. But then I do remember that somebody said to me, they go, would you go? You know, would you be that fascinated? And I sit there and go, would you want to know? And even Richard Dreyfuss's character, I think he says that at some point, that he wants to know. Wouldn't you want to know what's out there? And I think that is, that's repeated several times throughout this film. So I think it justifies it. But we put ourselves in that place and think he has actually left his 3 kids and wife behind.
Yeah, it's a weird...
Regardless that they've left him.
There we go. He gets on the ship and then Spindly Alien goes over to Lacombe, doesn't he? And they share the hand symbols and a little smile. Then they crack on and they go away.
That's it. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. No fourth kind. No sequels coming to this. Few films out there that no sequels coming out at all to this. A lot of talk that Disclosure Day is very much linked to Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I think some people might be slightly disappointed. That's the reason why we decided to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, is to go right back and see Spielberg in his prime, doing what he does best. I enjoyed this. I think I've seen it several times. Yeah. I think this is an absolute blueprint for this type of film.
It's a masterclass of cinema. I think this is really well done. The opening, I think, is one of the best sort of opening few minutes of film I've ever watched.
Oh,
just in terms of like really drawing you in, because you do. It's like anything with a book, a TV show, whatever. You have to be gripped. You have to be drawn in. Otherwise, you lose interest. And immediately, the opening of this is like you're hooked, and that is it. You can't really stop.
I can't think of any other film that's come close to doing something similar to this. There has been other films that have done the alien abduction, the alien visitation. They've dealt with there's been many done. Some more expensive, and some spent more money and bigger stars on it than others. Some more budgeted and low key. But I've never seen something so stylized and so really done really well.
Yeah.
To emphasize what is quite a basic story, realistically.
It is, and this is again, it's that masterclass of taking something that is in theory so basic and giving it so much life and so much meat on the bone. It really does pack it out, but again, it's not overdone. You don't feel like there's anything really missing. There's nothing that you sort of sit there and go. There's not a lot of questions left at the end of it to sort of wonder what's going on, unless you're really, really digging like we were. It is just. It's good, acting's top quality, everything looks good, and they've really gone all out with the special effects. It's sublime.
Which comes on to, did you have anything in this that you felt that was like outstanding out there that stood out for you? Favourite scene?
I think it's really weird to sort of say the very first bit of the film was probably actually for me the peak. Just in the sense that it was that whole mystery, and I was just there. I was so fixated on it. because I haven't watched this film probably since I was in maybe secondary school. So we're talking nearly maybe 2 decades ago.
Yeah, that's a long time, isn't it? Yeah, I'm not quite so long for me. I picked up on television randomly one evening. Probably I would say about 8 years ago or 6 years ago, somewhere around there. That's probably the last time I watched it. So it's still quite, and I remember it really well. I'm going to be absolutely honest with you, Tom. I totally agree with you. It's the beginning. I'm with you on that 100%. I'm not going to go outside of that. It's the beginning for me. It's so good, so well done. The atmospherics, the sound design. It's literally a tick sheet. Yeah, it just did it for me. It was absolutely awesome. Which comes on to a flame rating, doesn't it? What we got, Tom? Do you want to go first?
I don't think I can give it anything less than a 5.
Wow, there we go, a 5. Yeah. See, I was teetering now, and I'm gonna throw a curveball in here. Yeah, not Devil's Tower. I'm gonna be the Devil Tower. That's what I'm gonna be. So I went 4.
I'm staggered.
I know. You thought I was going to go 5, didn't you? And
Yeah, I thought it was a no-brainer.
I trimmed it off, and it is only because whilst as a film, I think it is remarkably well filmed and done. Does it make me feel like I want to watch it again and all the time? No, not really. I can put this away for a little while, and then I will come back to it in a long time. I feel I have to leave it for an extremely long time before I would come back to it. There's elements in it that are a little bit... I'll be absolutely honest with you, I don't like the aliens in the suits at the end. But this is a very personal choice to me. What would I have done? I didn't want to see the aliens. How weird is that? I still feel like that. When I watched it the first time, when I watched it the second time, like I mentioned when I was in my 20s, I found the aliens disappointing and I didn't want to see them. But I suppose you had to see them, didn't you? There had to be a reveal of some description. I kind of didn't want them.
Yeah, again, this is
so I trim off a flame, not because of the film and not because of realistic that. Just would I return back to it, And I give it as maximum as I can for quality. But at the same time, what we're all about here at Burning Cinema is it any good? Is it still good? Does it still hit home? Would I go and watch it again? Or is this, awful where no way, I can't even, unwatchable nowadays, and it brings us out of the film. None of it brings me out of the film. I did thoroughly enjoy it. It's not a representation of how good the film is. It's a representation of how long. I just feel it would be a long time before I went back to it. It would be an incredibly long time. Mixed decisions, mixed things. What we do here, that's how it all works anyway, isn't it? So all we've got to say for is normally it would be at this time when we sort of kind of introduce what we're doing next. But we're not going to do that.
There's a bit of a change, isn't there? I suppose you should probably explain to the good audience what the plan is.
Well, the summer heat is out. The sun is shining as it blasts down here on the room of the podcast. Summer is well and truly underway here in the UK, which is very unusual for us to see some sunshine here. It's normally damn miserable. But no. So what we're going to have to say is it's not quite a goodbye, but more of a see you soon. As we head into summer and have a little summer break. So we will be back we'll be back on August the 31st with a brand new theme and a brand new episode. So what I'll have to say is enjoy the summer. Try not to get sunburnt.
Too late.
Oh, sorry about that. You're already burnt already. We will see you soon. Anyway, we will, and certainly enjoy your holidays. Remember, you can catch up on YouTube. You can look on Spotify as well. We're on there. And also as well, keep in tune with it, Instagram. We'll be back, obviously, like I said, on the 31st of August for new episodes, new themes, and we will see you there. Have a great summer, everybody. It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.